ultimately, there's got to be some responsibility on the driver to be alert and aware of their surroundings. There's deputy sheriffs that work those intersections 180 days a year. Every day school's in session, there's a deputy sheriff standing there. And most people in Oconee County that travel that same stretch of road, that take their kids to school, know that. And they look for those deputies. They have to be alert. Georgia has a move-over law, which requires you to pay extra to give way to patrol cars or any other car with flashing lights. The move-over law is in place because people get hit working traffic on the side of the highway, side of the roadway. And it's a dangerous job.
What was the woman, was she dropping off her child to the school?
She was not. She is not the parent of a child,
okay.
nor is she an employee of the school system.
Does she drive through there before? Like, is she from Oconee County?
She's from Oconee County, and she drives through that every day, every work day.
So she was aware that there was always a deputy there conducting traffic, or you don't know?
I would assume she'd be aware of that. Yes, ma'am.
Is Deputy Gilstrap, since he was volunteering, did he work crosswalks before or often?
That's a good question. He worked. He relieved on school crossings many occasions, including that same school crossing, to relieve. The way it's done management-wise is that each deputy is assigned that volunteers for that duty is assigned that school crossing. That deputy is responsible for either working that school crossing or seeing that someone works it. Deputy Gilstrap had filled in many times, not only at that intersection, but many of the others in the county.
How come she hasn't been charged with just vehicle homicide or anything like that?
She's not a flight risk. There's no reason to think she'd flee the jurisdiction, and there's no hurry. The troopers, I expect the troopers, and as she should expect the troopers to be thorough and to be complete and to complete their investigation before charging anyone, if someone's going to be charged. There's no hurry. There's no reason to believe she's not available for court should that become necessary at some time in the future. Time is not an issue. Doing it right is more important than doing it quick.
I'm sorry, so just to clarify, just in any case of when a person's struck by a car and killed, the person driving the car, they're not automatically charged with the vehicular homicide.
That'd be correct. Just because someone's killed in a car crash does not mean a crime was committed. And as of right now, the troopers are still working on this, and the district attorney has not reviewed it to see if any charges will be brought. You're right. That's a correct statement.
You mentioned there's been counseling for students and parents at the school nearby.
The county offers employee assistance free to any employee, not just sheriff's deputies. While this may be the first line of duty death we've suffered, deputies have experienced tragic situations and have rightfully and thoughtfully gone to seek counseling and speak to people about some of the experiences and some of the things they see in their normal course of their duties. And we have an employee assistance program in place. We have a chaplain program in place. These weren't created just for the death of Deputy Gilstrap. These are things that we do in the normal course of doing business. There's no discipline attached to attending counseling. It's something that people do. We can require it or they can request it. And in this instance, many people have requested it.
Have there been any instances of you requiring people to have counseling?
No. I think people take advantage of it. I think we're members of this community, okay? We've seen other people die, and it's tough. It's tough to see a child die when you're a parent. It's tough to be there when a child dies when you're a parent. And deputies know that the employee assistance program's there for them. In spite of what people may think, deputy sheriffs are human beings, okay? And they don't come from some magical place. They really are human beings, and they have a lot of emotions. They have a family. They have parents and children and wives and husbands and whatever, boyfriends or girlfriends. Everybody has a relationship. Everybody has a life outside of just being a sheriff or a deputy sheriff, and they take advantage of the opportunity, the the counseling as they see fit. I've never required anyone to attend employee assistance.
I know this is a very difficult time for you and your colleagues, and I was just wondering, with this being pretty recent, is there anything else that's on the agenda that you're having to focus on other than?
It's a good question. Life goes on.
Right.
People report crimes. People crash their cars. The mission of the sheriff's office hasn't changed in light of the death of Deputy Gilstrap. We're answering calls for service. Our investigators are working cases. Nothing's changed operationally for us. During the time of the funeral, we had deputy sheriffs from Gwinnett, Rockdale, and Walton County come work Oconee County, and work the jail and work communications. So all my employees that wanted to attend the funeral could attend. Other than that, operationally, nothing's changed for us. We still answer calls, write reports, get cats out of trees or whatever it is. That's firefighters, not sheriffs. But any other questions?
What is your feelings about the new jail that's making headlines in Athens?
In Athens?
Or just in the papers and stuff right now?
Well, I went through a 10-year-long process to build a new jail. It's extremely time-consuming, and I've got a great deal of appreciation for the Athens-Clarke County facility. It's overcrowded. A glance of the Department of Community Affairs jail survey that's published every month would show that. Whether or not it's operationally effective or not would be best addressed by the Clarke County Sheriff. But it's small and it's overcrowded. And I think the citizens of Clarke County will make the right decision as whether or not they want to build a new jail or not.
Do you think that the reason that the jail is overcrowded is because of the large number of minors in possession being taken to jail in Athens?
Well, my comments to answer that question will be speculative since I don't run the Clarke County Jail. However, I'll say this. Minors and underage possession of alcohol are not the problem of housing inmates anywhere in the state of Georgia, in my opinion. Minors and underage possession of alcohol, cases like that, they're bonded quickly. They don't while they may cause an influx in booking, they don't cause an influx in housing. You don't see people staying in custody 6 months waiting for their case to be disposed of. The problem with jail overcrowding is not anywhere in the state of Georgia. To my mind, has very little to do with minors being charged with alcohol or somebody selling alcohol in a bar to somebody, whether they're booked into the jail and immediately released. That's not a housing issue. The housing issue has to do with the state cutting prison beds, closing diversion centers. Okay, the state of Georgia, and rightfully so, has taken the legislature has passed mandatory sentences for certain crimes. When you pass mandatory sentences for certain crimes, somebody has to go to jail. There has to be a bed for that person. When the state can't absorb them anymore, the logjam starts in the county jails. I have 11 inmates right now that should be in the state system or in a diversion center somewhere. They close the diversion centers. I don't have anywhere to send them. And the state penitentiary doesn't have any bed space. So they're sitting in my jail at my taxpayers' expense. So it's I can't address specific issues in Athens-Clarke County. Jail overcrowding isn't a function of a couple of college kids going to jail for having a beer at night. Jail overcrowding is much more systemic, much deeper issue than that.
I'm sorry, did you say that you worked on a jail for 10 years?
Yes, ma'am.
Where was that at?
Oconee County.
Okay, and is that what the jail is right now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah, we had a 28-bed jail that wasn't meeting our needs years ago.
Okay.
And after repeated grand jury investigation, everything like that, the county did build us a new 137-bed facility that we're in now.
So what do you think the probability is of them actually going through this since you've worked on it?
It's all politics.
Okay.
It's all takes time. And it'll be up to the citizens. Ultimately, the citizens in Clarke County are going to drive the need to build a jail.
What was the state's reasoning for closing the diversion centers?
Budget cuts. I'm sorry, I interrupted your question. You can finish your question. Well, it's straightforward. The governor has ordered all state agencies to produce budgets with 6%, 8%, and 10% budget cuts. The GBI is operating right now under 6% budget cut, which means they closed crime labs in Moultrie, Somerville, and all the satellite crime labs. They closed the regional drug offices, all except for the ones right now in Macon and Augusta. And I anticipate, I've been told by the director of the GBI that those will probably be closed next. In the meantime, the governor's ordered the Department of Corrections to cut their budget. And they cut their budget by shutting down what's called soft bed space. Soft bed space would be diversion centers or things along those lines. Trying to retain hard bed space, which is what you normally think of when you think of penitentiary. But by closing the soft bed space, I've got sentenced inmates sitting in my jail with nowhere to send them.